it seems like this movie will never get made. Blake Lively apparently is no longer attached to this project.
Blake Lively is freaking out after Hollywood just canceled all of her latest projects due to the explosive reputation she's built over the past 7 months. From courtroom chaos to career sabotage, she's spiraling fast. Just like Amber Heard, Blake's legacy might be headed straight for the dumpster permanently. Blake Lively won her lawsuit, or at least that's what her little team of overpaid, under-talented spin doctors told the world on June 10th, 2025. There she was, smiling like she just solved world peace, while headlines screeched clean sweep and Hollywood gossip blogs tripped over themselves trying to congratulate her. If you blinked, you probably thought she'd just cured cancer and walked on water at the same time. But hold on. Just 24 hours later, Ryan Reynolds, yes, the actual husband, yanked the rug from under Blake's perfectly manicured feet and smashed the PR fairy tale with a single Instagram story. No caption, no emojis, just 11 words that scorched the earth. Justice isn't a Netflix script. Directors don't cast judges. Internet meltdown. And let's be real, if your own husband can't co-sign your lie, maybe the lie was just too damn big to begin with. What Ryan did in one Instagram story, her legal team couldn't clean up in 100 press releases. It wasn't just shady, it was cinematic level betrayal. And I'm not even mad, I'm impressed. Now, let's get into the meat of this flaming disaster. Because Blake didn't just win her lawsuit, she allegedly won it by playing Monopoly with the court system. Like seriously, Monopoly, with hotels, shady deals, and a get-out-of-jail-free card handed to her by a judge who just happens to have a brother working in Hollywood. Convenient, right? According to court insiders and one now-resigned assistant with more guts than Blake's entire legal squad, there was a mysterious $1.2 million payment routed to Judge Alan Lehman's brother. The name of the consulting firm? Graywave Consulting, LLC. Sounds like the kind of shell company a Bond villain would use. You cannot make this stuff up. That money trail was allegedly connected to none other than Blake's PR team, the same team who, by the way, were reportedly making hush-hush visits to the judge's chambers. And I don't mean booked appointments with security and sign-in sheets. No, these were black bag style, no records exist, you didn't see us here type meetings. 4 of them, between May 14th and May 22nd. All undocumented, all conveniently timed just before the judge dismissed Baldoni's 2 most serious claims on, wait for it, May 23rd. How coincidental. Those 2 claims? Not some technicalities, not footnotes, no. One was about creative control, that Baldoni, the co-producer of the movie, was completely sidelined while Blake allegedly turned the film into her personal little vanity project. The second, way more damning, that she had secret financial deals tied to the production through private investment groups, and she didn't disclose it. Meaning, she was allegedly pushing decisions on casting, budget, and scenes, not because it helped the film, but because it helped her bank account. And somehow, magically, those were the 2 claims Judge Lehman tossed out. No argument, no trial, not even a decent explanation. He just said, nah, not specific enough. Mind you, Baldoni's legal team came prepared with emails, contracts, internal memos, even timestamps. Still not specific enough, huh? But sure, let's just pretend this is all totally above board and not a complete abuse of the justice system. Who knew winning a court case was as simple as having the right friends, the right brother, and the right dirty checkbook? But here's the plot twist. Blake really thought this would stay buried. She actually believed the internet would throw confetti and move on. Enter Ryan Reynolds with the PR atomic bomb of the century. At 6:17 a.m., before most people even had coffee, he dropped that Instagram story. Nothing dramatic, no flames, no angry rants, just cold, calculated truth. Those 11 words didn't just break the illusion, they shattered it, dragged it into the street, and ran it over. And how did Blake take it? Like a pro? With grace? No. According to insiders, she went full meltdown mode. At exactly 8:43 a.m., during a crisis strategy call with her team, she screamed. Like, screamed. And not just, no, he betrayed me, screamed. She reportedly accused Ryan of ruining everything and said he didn't understand what was at stake. Sis, what was at stake? Your career? Your freedom? That fake producer credit? Whatever it was, it clearly wasn't worth protecting if it couldn't survive one vague Instagram story from your husband. And speaking of crisis teams, hers dropped her like a hot, flaming PR liability. By 6 p.m. the same day, Fenwick Collective officially cut ties. And their reason? Fundamental breakdown in client transparency. She lied to them. She left out the $1 million money trail, the undocumented courthouse visits, the whole circus. They built a defense strategy on fairness and judicial ethics, only to find out she'd been out here playing real-life House of Cards. 24 hours. That's all it took for her clean sweep to flip into a scandal spiral. Her courtroom glow turned into a full-blown PR funeral, and honestly, it couldn't have happened to a more deserving person. Blake Lively's career wasn't ruined by the internet or the press or even the lawsuit. It was ruined by Blake Lively. By her ego, her arrogance, and her belief that she could bend reality if she just smiled hard enough. Because no matter how good your makeup is, you can't contour away a money trail. You can't airbrush shady deals, and you definitely can't Instagram filter a federal judicial complaint. Blake thought she was above the rules, that she could control the script, the narrative, the courtroom, just like she tried to control Justin Baldoni's film. But justice, unfortunately for her, isn't a Netflix script. It's not directed by her. And the reviews for this performance, let's just say Rotten Tomatoes wouldn't even bother. And for anyone still wondering if this all feels a bit extreme, remember the numbers. $1.2 million quietly moved to a judge's brother. 4 secret meetings in less than 10 days. A judge who tossed 2 critical claims with a wave of his pen. A PR firm that walked away faster than a Hollywood actor from a flopped sequel. And Ryan Reynolds breaking character just once, long enough to expose everything. Blake Lively hijacked a movie. Not metaphorically, not symbolically. I mean, she literally jumped aboard a film that had already been in development for 5 whole years and tried to turn it into her personal Pinterest board of flirty and yummy creative disasters. This wasn't just any film either. This was Justin Baldoni's passion project. It Ends With Us, a story about domestic violence, personal healing, and trauma. You know, the kind of thing that maybe shouldn't be rewritten like a rom-com with brunch banter. But Blake didn't care. She swooped in late 2022, slapped on an executive producer tag like a clearance sticker, and started acting like it was her own diary entry on screen. Now, let's be clear. Justin had been grinding on this film since 2017. Licensing, development, crew hiring, all the unglamorous, heavy lifting stuff. And then here comes Blake, fresh off an acting hiatus, demanding a full creative overhaul. She rewrote scenes to be, in her own words, flirty and yummy. Seriously, she said that. About a film rooted in domestic violence. You can't make this stuff up. She actually proposed a rewrite for the pivotal rooftop scene and had the nerve to offer to act it out for Justin to show how spicy and playfully bold she imagined it. Because apparently, this was no longer a serious drama. This was now a Hallmark rom-dramedy starring Blake's delusion. But she didn't stop at the script. Nope. Once she got her taste of creative power, she went full corporate takeover. Internal records show she relentlessly texted and voice messaged Justin, the actual director and owner of the production company, demanding control over the script, wardrobe, and even the marketing strategy. It was like watching Facebook family group chat drama unfold, but with multi-million-dollar stakes. And she wasn't even subtle. She dragged in her Hollywood dragons, as she calls them. Yes, dragons, including none other than her husband Ryan Reynolds, to apply pressure on Justin during private meetings. Imagine sitting down with your lead actress, and suddenly her A-list entourage starts lecturing you about tone and ad placements. That's not collaboration. That's intimidation, Hollywood style. Now, let's talk about the producer credit war. Because when Blake doesn't get her way, apparently she levels up into full-blown extortion mode. According to detailed records, she flat out threatened to withhold promotions for the film unless she was awarded a full producer title, not just in name, but with the official PGA certification. If you don't know, that's not just a fancy badge. It's a power move. It means she wanted to be listed among the people who actually produced the film, who did the work, oversaw the budget, handled the logistics, everything she absolutely did not do. But it gets worse. She demanded her image be front and center in all marketing campaigns and tried to remove Justin's name from key promotional listings. The same Justin who had built this entire movie from scratch. He even texted a colleague in May 2023 saying he was terrified to push back on wardrobe because she'd go ballistic. Imagine a director too scared to change a jacket on set because the lead might throw a PR grenade if her sleeves weren't the right shade of empowerment. Let's call it what it is: textbook emotional blackmail. She leveraged her celebrity status, pushed unrealistic deadlines, and used guilt and threats to force changes that suited her vanity, not the integrity of the film. This wasn't collaboration. This was sabotage wearing designer heels. And if you thought that was the peak of her messiness, buckle up, because here comes the smear campaign. At one point, Blake actually accused Justin of harassment. Yes, harassment. She claimed that during a dance scene, he leaned in and dragged his lips down her neck. She said it was unscripted, creepy, and totally inappropriate. That's a massive accusation, one that can end careers. But instead of panicking, Justin dropped the uncut footage. A full 17-minute video of the entire scene from call to cut. No funny business, no inappropriate behavior, just a professional director doing his job. And guess what? That footage dismantled her claim like wet tissue paper. Crew members started whispering. Actually, scratch that, they started talking loudly. Multiple insiders described Blake's behavior on set as vindictive and erratic. People were walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing or breathing the wrong way in front of her. Her harassment accusation didn't just fall apart, it boomeranged, and hard. Because what started as a defamation attempt turned into a full-blown expose of how she weaponized false allegations when she couldn't get her way. Blake thought she could play victim and villain at the same time, like she was starring in some psychological Netflix thriller called Gaslight, the executive producer cut. But instead, the only thing she successfully produced was her own reputation imploding in real time. No one believed her. Not the crew, not the public, and clearly not her own husband, who already nuked her credibility on social media days earlier. Her little smear campaign didn't generate sympathy. It exposed her for what she is: manipulative, power-drunk, and completely out of touch with reality. You don't get to cry harassment while you're still holding the pen from your last script rewrite. You don't get to rewrite trauma into romance and then claim emotional damage when someone calls you out. And you definitely don't get to demand a producer title, royalties, wardrobe authority, and final cut rights when all you really brought to the table was chaos and entitlement. Blake Lively didn't just hijack It Ends With Us. She hijacked her own career and then set it on fire because no one clapped loud enough. The saddest part? She still thinks she's the victim. Like she wasn't the one bulldozing through every layer of professional boundaries with her PR tank and celebrity privilege. The whole project, 5 years of planning, financing, collaboration, turned into a playground for her ego. And when people pushed back, she didn't reflect. She retaliated. Now, Hollywood sees her for what she really is. Not a visionary, not a comeback queen, just another diva who mistook her IMDb profile for a license to control, manipulate, and destroy. And if this is the way she behaves when given partial power, no wonder every major studio is sprinting in the opposite direction. Because the only thing flirty and yummy about this whole situation is how fast her career is being digested by the industry she thought she owned. Blake Lively thought she was gearing up for a career renaissance, a glowing return to Hollywood dominance with a lineup of high-profile projects, and her name plastered across every platform like she was the second coming of Meryl Streep. But what she ended up with? A front-row seat to the funeral of her own career. And let's just say, she delivered the eulogy herself. One scandal, a few $1 million in backdoor dealings, and a public betrayal later, and Hollywood has officially hit the block button. Let's start with My Husband's Secrets. This was supposed to be her crown jewel. a prestige project adapted from the best-selling novel by Leanne Moriarty. It had all the makings of a commercial and critical success. CBS Films had been attached since 2017. Blake was supposed to star and executive produce. For 8 years, her name sat on this film like it was her personal retirement plan. And now, gone. Quietly detached. Not a peep from her camp. IMDb still lists her, but everyone with half a brain knows she's toast. Industry insiders confirm she's out, and no one's rushing to replace her either. In a genre where credibility sells tickets, no one's casting a woman accused of sabotaging a movie about domestic violence so she could insert flirty and yummy monologues. But the real cherry on top of Blake's collapsing tower of lies? Her Netflix special, Conversations with Courage, was silently pulled from the July 2nd, no announcement. No apology, just gone like it never existed. The irony? The special was meant to be an intimate conversation about integrity in the arts. I mean, I can't even say that without laughing. Integrity, Blake, in the same sentence. Netflix took one look at the $1.2 million payment trail and decided the best form of damage control was to pretend Blake Lively never happened. And then came June 18th. The Greenwich Film Symposium, a prestigious industry event where Blake had been booked to give a keynote speech about the future of storytelling and female empowerment. Yeah, you can't make this up. The woman who reportedly hijacked a film, weaponized harassment claims, and allegedly funneled hush money through consulting firms was supposed to give a lecture on empowerment. But guess what? She canceled. No explanation, no public statement, not from her, not from Netflix, not even from the symposium itself. Just a blank spot where her name used to be. And trust me, nobody missed her. At this point, the message is clear. Hollywood has spoken, and they're not just distancing themselves, they're erasing her. Blake has officially entered the red zone of reputation destruction. The phrase being whispered behind the scenes is brutal and final. Unmarketable. Studios don't want the baggage. PR teams refuse to touch her. Streaming platforms are pulling her specials before they even air. She's not a risk, she's a liability. And it's not just about the scandal. It's about the fact that she thought she could dance around the fire with her designer heels and not get burned. Spoiler alert, she's now the ash on the floor. But if you think this was just about bad PR and public backlash, no. This thing is rolling downhill straight into legal hell. On June 13th, Baldoni's legal team filed a Rule 60B motion, arguing that the previous case ruling should be tossed due to compromised judicial integrity and new evidence. And by new evidence, we mean a trail of financial transactions, confidential emails, and surprise, surprise, Diane Riener's explosive testimony. Now, if you forgot, Diane was the assistant to Judge Alan Lehman, the guy who conveniently dismissed the two most damning claims against Blake. She quit after allegedly overhearing her boss say things like, "It's bigger than both of us, and I'm doing this once, but never again." Yeah, that sounds totally normal and not like something ripped straight from a political thriller. Her statement, backed by courthouse logs showing 4 mysterious meetings between Blake's PR and the judge's office, kicked off a full-scale investigation by the New York Commission on Judicial Conduct. And yes, it gets worse. A federal liaison is now reviewing the entire case for transfer to federal court. Because when your judge's brother gets $1.2 million from your PR team's shell company and then magically rules in your favor, it turns out the state might not be equipped to handle the circus. Baldoni's team isn't just sitting back and sipping tea either. They filed a new complaint under New York penal law accusing Blake of judicial tampering, indirect bribery, and fraudulent concealment. They're seeking over $25 million in damages and an injunction that would legally bar her from participating in any future projects related to the film she tried to hijack. And legal experts aren't taking this lightly. Professor Marlene Kessler from Columbia Law School, a seasoned authority on ethics, came out and said it plainly. If the financial trail checks out, and all signs suggest it does, this case isn't just flawed, it's collapsing. The whole thing's under expedited review, and we're expecting a decision from the federal court by June 21st. That's days away from full-blown career implosion. This isn't just a slap on the wrist or some PR damage she can spin into a misunderstood queen narrative. This is criminal territory. Blake Lively may soon have to swap red carpets for court benches, and the only designer name she'll be mentioning is the lawyer on her retainer. By now, it's painfully clear that what Blake Lively did wasn't some accidental stumble. This wasn't a misstep. It was a full-blown self-destruct sequence disguised as a comeback. She tried to power grab her way through Justin Baldoni's film. She tried to bully her way into a producer credit. She tried to rewrite serious material into a self-serving romance novel. And when none of that worked, she tried to play victim, falsely, maliciously, and disastrously. All while allegedly greasing the palms of the very system that was meant to hold her accountable. And don't forget, her own husband blew the whistle. Ryan Reynolds didn't just walk away, he nuked the narrative. His Instagram story wasn't cryptic, it was calculated. And his silence since then has been deafening. Because when a man who built his brand on sarcasm suddenly goes radio silent, that's not shade, that's confirmation. Ryan refused to cushion her fall, and now she's hitting every branch on the way down with no one left to break the landing. Her PR firm? Gone. Netflix? Gone. Upcoming projects? Vaporized. And the only thing growing around her right now is a legal cloud that's expanding globally. From Hollywood darling to tabloid punchline, from the front row at the Met Gala to the back page of Lawline Daily, Blake has managed to burn every bridge and torch every script with her name on it. She could have had it all, the redemption arc, the quiet return, the applause. But instead, she chose chaos. She thought she was the heroine. Turns out, she was just the villain in her own flop. And the credits are rolling on a performance nobody wants to see again. If this meltdown shocked you, hit that subscribe button because what's coming next might just finish Blake's career for good.